Every time I close my eyes, I see in front of me.
Let's embark on a journey of knowledge and discovery. Let's learn from the extraordinary lives of the greatest in the art of living.
The art of living.
Join the conversation with hosts Dr. Wael Harasi and Dr. Lamia Al-Haj.
Every day.
From Sunday to Thursday.
From 2:40 to 3:40 p.m.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear listeners, I salute you the salutation of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to a brand new show, The Art of Living. Today we are discussing a very complicated and complex, unlike our show, the rest of our topics. However, it's very necessary to talk about it because it has great impact on our future and our children's future. So please bear with us. It is an interesting one, and I'm sure you would have something to say. And join us on
24602058.
I took you by surprise there. It's 24602058. That's 24602058. We have our guest here, a special guest, who is going to talk about STEM. Our topic today is about STEM, whatever that means. Some of you might say, well, it's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And this topic, as we have publicized today, is that science and men, anomani dilemma. There is a problem with our boys at school and universities with science. They seem to have sort of, created some sort of allergy, I think. They don't like it so much.
Phobia.
Phobia of science. STEM, what does it stand for? What is it all about? Why do we need to focus on science, technology, engineering, mathematics? What does it have to do with our future as a country? What does it have to do with our future as individuals? These are the type of questions we will ask today, and you are welcome to ask our wonderful guest, Professor Basil Dayani. Professor Basil, who has been with NASA for 7 years and then worked for the Silicon Valley for 20 years. He's currently a professor in computer science at GU Tech, director of Center of Applied Software Engineering. He's CEO of Yamasuta Software Technology, an American company, and CEO of Source Code.
Source code.
Source Code. I didn't write it properly there. Source Code and Omani company. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you here. We came across this topic through ITHRA. It's something that is concerning the nation, concerning the government. And if we look at the statistics, Professor, it is really alarming. When you see at higher education, Dr. Lamia, at higher education, you are SQU, but probably in SQU it's a little bit different. But in other private universities, the number of male students, the boys who join universities compared to female, is alarming. You could say that about 10% only are male students and 90% are female students.
Now that is alarming.
It is alarming, yeah. Why is that happening? We will discuss that today. If you look at the number of students, male students at school at grade 11, when they actually choose subjects, how many of them choose biology? In selected schools, Dr. Lamia, in Muscat, 31% of girls, they choose biology as a subject. Only 16%, half, 16% of boys would choose biology.
Yeah, the trend is even getting worse with the biotechnology students we have in the university. We can see that the number of males is decreasing every year. So biotechnology is almost being propagated as a female-dominant subject, although it's obviously in the biotechnology application can be everywhere. And the number is slightly decreasing for reasons that are not clear to me at all.
We could very easily, Professor, say that maybe it's just a matter of personal preference. People just want to study something else. They don't like biology. Fair enough.
Maybe it's a social.
Maybe it's a social thing. But when you look at the other side of the statistics, that there are schools where 50% of the boys in grade 11 fail completely.
Fail what? In what sense?
Fail in school. They can't progress to grade 12.
You mean not fail in STEMs?
Not in STEM.
Subject.
Completely fail. To the extent that the planning and the Ministry of Education had to shut down 3 classes in a single school for grade 12 and open 3 classes in grade 11 because 105 students did not progress. In other schools, 3 classes out of 14 completely failed. So I would love to say it's a natural thing that people's preference go towards probably arts or business or more human sciences. But the trend, these numbers telling us that there is no seriousness in terms of education in boys, let's say. I can't say men. Yeah, men will.
Little men.
Yeah, I really can't say men. Several years ago, I would have said men. Yeah, because there is an element of responsibility there.
All right. I think that's specific to Oman from what I understand from you, because based on my research, at least based on the statistics, first I will take you on a journey on what does it really mean to study mathematics or science, technology, and the related field. And then we'll probably come back to that question is why the female versus male, because if you go to the United States, according to the latest statistics, it's exact opposite of the problem in Oman. So I think Oman, we have to look at seriously. They have a serious challenge based on what you just reported to me, which is new. It was new to me, by the way. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew in JUTEC we had more ladies than gentlemen, but 60 to 40 from what I know at least. And that's a pure technology university. I mean, we don't have many of the art type departments or fields.
So the trend that you have in JUTEC is actually opposite to what you find in the United States and the UK, where the female representation is less than expected.
Exactly. I mean, even it's worse in the United States. You could find worse ratios. But I'm going to make you laugh first a little bit based on one of the statistics here that I today read, which I found fascinating, is 68% of the males in the States that why they study STEMs, the science and technology and what mathematics and all of that, is because they want good salary directly out of school. So their main target is money, basically. That's 68%, huh?
Yeah.
Now look at the girls or the ladies here. Again, 68%, number one reason, we're talking about number one reason here, for females that study engineering and science, and here I'm taking it directly from the statistics here. They say it is because intellectually stimulating and challenging. Totally different objective.
Okay, so they totally different.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because of this war between male and female created in that part of the world that women might need to prove themselves that they are capable of taking such roles? Is it due to that?
I think in the West, at least, the girls are looked upon as not like they call it the STEM. They call it men's field. Technology and all of this.
So it's labeled as
it's already labeled even by the girls. Like, don't go there because that's a men's field.
Okay.
Right?
But they already started doing something very similar to STEM, which is GEMS, Girls in Engineering and Mathematics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And even there are, there are programs right now that actually specifically targeting girls to entice them to go to science and technology, right? And that's in the West. And here it looks like we need the opposite.
We need the opposite. If we talk about that, sort of having a specific agenda to increase a percentage of certain gender in a certain topic, are you with this approach or are you against it? Are you with the approach, or you should leave things to grow naturally and organically? Let people just choose what they want.
No, I think the problem is wider than that. Yeah. Yes, you can have programs targeting one gender versus the other, But I think that we have even a more serious problem in terms of, and I'm going to report one number to you right now, is in the United States, there's a reduction by IBM. This is a research done by IBM. Look, all these, I just mentioned to you the first statistics, that was Microsoft technology. Why not the government doing this? Those are, some of them Silicon Valley, some of them, like in Washington State, like Microsoft, because they're not getting the workforce, they're not getting the intellect, so they're starting to worry because they are on the receiving end of technology and science. So they said, let's do some research and find out so we can fix it. So soon enough, you're going to have Omani's companies like PDO and others saying, wait a minute here, we don't want, and we have a problem, I heard in Oman here, you're bringing too many foreigners versus Omanis, and that's really a big issue. We should use the Omanis as much as possible, right? So I heard so many radio shows actually on the FM targeting that particular issue. Well, here it is. In the US, the companies just started doing the research so they can find out how they remedy this problem. And here, God knows when PDO and others saying, wait a minute here, let's do some research here to find out why we're not getting as many Omanis as possible in our maybe company and all of that.
I think that, the companies here just go with the flow. We receive 100 women versus 10 men. We just take the 100 women. Yeah. If they need to wear coveralls and work with spanners in the field, let's take them there. It's part of empowerment of women.
Right.
The question is, why is it necessary to have an equal balance in all fields? Is that a necessary? Is there an issue if we have one gender overcoming one another in a specific field? Why does it that you have to have a 50-50 in STEM sciences, for example?
I really don't go with these. I don't see that we have to have 50-50 or in the US you have also the minorities. You have to have minorities and all of these. Yeah. It's really that's where the natural inclination should be left to the girls and boys or the ladies and gentlemen here, because then they will choose what they love, and I want to focus on that. But I didn't state to you what IBM said. IBM stated that the U.S. STEM student shrunk, and hear this, and hear it very carefully. That's U.S. They shrunk this is worldwide, not U.S. I just noted that here, so it's my mistake, not U.S. This is worldwide. So Oman is part of the. They shrunk from 40% worldwide to 15% currently. This is in the past 10 years.
So about 60% reduction.
Yeah, although the speculations show, I was looking at the statistics, and they said they expect in 2020 that the science and the people in STEM field would increase in the next 10 years.
That's
maybe,
why...
Maybe based on the promotions that they're going to, the projects that they're actually working on.
And now you can... Another statistic, which is... It's like the manifestation of what we just reported, the 40 to 15 shrinkage, is every year 3.2 million jobs in STEMs go unfulfilled. Unfilled. Why? Because they can't find. Mostly it says the reason is they cannot find qualified STEMs.
So there is a huge responsibility on our youth. Yeah, children, youth, and parents of children and youth to encourage children, to educate children on top of what universities and schools have to do, to let them know that whatever they choose, whatever they do, actually creates the future of the whole country.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think some governments have realized that, and some head of states.
Yeah. I have a quote by President Barack Obama in September 2010, and he said, "Leadership tomorrow depends on how we educate our students today, especially in science, technology, engineering, and math." Right. And they have this American goal where Barack Obama has called on a nation to develop, recruit, and retain 100,000 excellent STEM teachers over the next 10 years. Right. So I think this kind of project is there because of the alarming statistics of the reduction in numbers of people who are... enrolling to STEM studies. My question is, those people who are going away from STEM, Professor, do you know where are they heading? Are they heading into business-oriented fields, or why is this shift? Where is it going to?
Right. Well, there are two questions in your question, actually. One is, why are they shifting, and where are they shifting to?
Yes.
So one of the things is, if I tell you that the human being, so let's take it from the psychological point of view here first. If you were in a conversation, if people are going to find these very strange, between you and me, how many people are in a conversation?
Just the two of us.
Two, right? Physically, we're
Yes.
two.
Yeah.
But in actuality, we are four. Why? Because when I talk to you, I'm actually talking to my perception of you. That's a different lady. And when you're talking to me, you're talking to your perception of me. And if the two are not aligned, the perception with the reality of the person, you will have a serious problem. That's why actually a lot of problems at home and outside the home in companies gets initiated by these. So if we take the same rule, now apply it to the perception of mathematics, perception of engineering, perception of technology, it is perceived to be what? Difficult. A human being, I'm taking you here on a psychology
Perspective.
trip also. A human being, by their nature, lazy. You have to fight that laziness to overcome, and to go beyond that. So, for example, if you get money, not out of working, you will take it. But life necessitates that you need to work in order to get that energy, which they call money, right?
Yeah.
So people, if they have no internal drive, no engine inside, that here in the statistics says that engine gets installed in a human being before the sixth grade.
Yeah.
That means our elementary schools is the first place where the STEM gets initialized in the awareness and the liking of the students.
Professor, I would like to go deeper into this topic of how do we really develop the drive with students. It's one of the notes that I have written here that we need to discuss in more detail, especially how do we make youth aware of their own responsibility in creating a brighter future or a worse future for them. But right after the break, we'll take a very short break and we'll come back. So dear listeners, you're listening to The Art of Living. We'll take a very short break and we'll see you in a minute.
Want to win a car with all the features you ever wanted? The Geely M Grand 7 with a 1.8-litre automatic engine can be yours. Just WhatsApp your name, location, and say that one thing you like the most about Geely, and you could become the lucky winner to own one. Send us your reply on WhatsApp at 9440 today. Anyone could win a Geely M Grand 7 this Ramadan. Terms and conditions apply.
Listeners, this is The Art of Living, and today we are discussing teaching science and technology to our youngsters, the importance of science and technology and engineering, mathematics, all of these. Our students, our boys, our girls, or maybe let's say our boys only, are shying away from this. What are the implications for the future of Oman? Is this a problem that we face on our own as a country, or is it more of a global issue? You can join in the topic with us here, me and Dr. Lamia and Professor Basil Dayani on 24602058. That's 24602058. We touched on the topic of responsibility, and we need to make our youth aware of the value of STEM and their own values as human beings.
Right.
Not just because they're little or they're allowed to have more fun at this stage, that they will have no impact for the future. The future depends on them. How do we instill this sense of responsibility on them that, guys, you need to go and study more technology, more engineering, more mathematics?
This is such a profound, actually, topic. And I will... I will share with you what part of my life, and also just to show you the beauty and why you need to choose, engineering, technology, mathematics. Mathematics, actually, it's an under pillar to technology. Actually, it's an under pillar to physics. Everything starts with mathematics. That's why I want to also mention something else to the parents, to the gentlemen and ladies here, that the kid between the age of 2 to 7, they develop what we call the neural network. That neural network, if you induce a lot of imagination and they play with toys and all of these things, then they create more and more connection in a neural network. That makes them smarter, that makes them more imaginative, that makes them a better artist and better technologist and better scientist and all of these. But mathematics, due to the logic, because mathematics is mostly built on logic, and logic is at the foundation of all technology, all science. Mm-hmm. And if I step back one step, when God created Adam, basically he gave him the ability to make tools. So the technologist. And the technologist, that's why you see the advanced countries, the ones with technology. And they are richer. Why? Because they went to the basic human ability to make tools, to make machines.
Use it to advance.
To invent, right? So if I want to also share with you, today we sent a satellite robot to Pluto, and it just today it's passing by Pluto, and they're monitoring it from NASA, since I was at NASA.
That was 9 years ago, and it's
that was 9.5 almost years ago.
MashaAllah.
So today you're
because there are billions of miles,
show.
and it takes the signal to come from the satellite. It takes 4.5 hours, so we wouldn't know about something unless we, So it's already old, but that's technology. So if I take my life, is why we should go really into technology. It's basically beauty. The human being loves beauty. I told them, Steve Jobs, if you're really wondering why you love your iPhone so much, or your iPad, or whatever technology that Apple comes, this man was not really a technologist, but he loves beauty, and he applied it to technology. So he didn't design the thing. He had his own designer, Wozniak, his friend, who was a technologist. He was in math. He was in science. Steve Jobs could not do those, but he knew what he wanted out of them, the beauty of them.
Professor, sorry, I'll just have to pause you for 1 minute. We have a call.
Okay.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Who's speaking?
This is Rahma.
Hello, Rahma. How are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah.
Thanks for tuning in. Would you like to ask our professor any questions? Or you'd like to contribute to the show?
Yeah, I have a contribution. I want to share my experience.
Yes. Yes, go ahead, Rahma.
Hello.
Yes. We're listening to you, Rahma, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I am a BSc holder in applied chemistry, but I'm not advising anyone in Oman, especially females, to go for chemistry or biology.
Why is that?
Because there is no future.
What do you mean by no future?
Because, for employment after graduation. Because all the ladies in my batch go for other fields after chemistry. They study something entirely different than science.
Yeah.
But I struggled, and I have been at home for 4 years as jobless, not job seeker, actually because there were no job in chemistry. It's very rarely in the advertisements you can see that they are seeking for a chemist position for ladies. I have applied everywhere. I did not limit myself only in the field of chemistry, but it doesn't work. Everyone is telling me it's haram, you have BSc in chemistry and you want to work as administrator or a secretary.
Yeah.
So usually we are choosing or advising our sisters or to choose a specialization, not the one they desired or they like or they can feel they can do something in that, be creative in that, but according to the market requirement.
Rahma, do you think this can be tackled from another angle, where maybe it would be better to liaise with government institutions and companies to provide or create such jobs for the graduates, rather than forcing the students to do something they don't like to do? It needs a little bit more planning, maybe.
I cannot hear you. I did not hear you.
I was saying, Rahma, that maybe if we would look at this issue from a different angle, that rather than the students changing and studying what the market needs, is that the governments and the companies create jobs for graduates, because there should be a liaison between the companies and the government and the education institutions, so that there's some sort of guaranteed positions for the graduates to fill after they graduate.
There is no balancing between the number of graduates and the valuable positions. So for me, just like for a female studying chemistry, we cannot go to the desert. I don't know. I don't feel that there is anything wrong with it.
Yes.
I can do what I'm doing now in the lab in Muscat. I can do it in any field.
Yes. Very valuable point, Rahma. Thank you very much for contributing. Do you have anything else to add?
I just want to say, just to complete it, that in Oman we are having now crisis in water, shortage of water. This problem, chemists can contribute in a big deal to solve this problem. But who care about this? Have you ever heard about any summit that in any science field like chemistry and biology in Oman? Never. Because no one cares about this field. So how can the government encourage students to go for this field? I don't know, but
I will answer that. Well, thank you very much, Rahma, for that. Please tune in, and I will certainly answer your question, the second question. And I would like to remind our listeners to call us on 24602058, 24602058. Thank you very much. Our caller Rahma has raised two very important questions. One is about the planning for certain disciplines in terms of educational needs and the occupational needs and the market needs for those. But allow me, before we put that question to you, just to very briefly answer the second question, which is on water. I work for PDO as a technology advisor, and I'm a focal point for water management from a technology point of view. We produce 9 barrels of water for every barrel of oil. So it is a problem. But as I always say, it's a sea of drought. Yeah, it's water that you can't use for anything. You can't use for irrigation. You can't use for a lot of things. And PDO as a company, because I don't think it's fair to say that the government is not doing anything or no one care about this. I think that's a very strong statement. We do quite a lot. We invest millions and millions in technologies, in brand new technologies on how to treat saline water. Yeah, how to treat water contaminated with a little bit of oil. There are some technologies that have never been invested in before. We go and for the lookout of new technologies in water. I myself, after Eid, immediately I'm going to Singapore for a conference on new technologies for desalination. Yeah, and we are engaging with a lot of institutes, SKU for example, on out of the box thinking, how could we use this water?
Growing algae.
Yeah. Yes, growing algae, for example, as you might know, Dr. Lamia. Another ways of using saline water in how, rather than using fresh water for our tarmac, for the roads, the blacktops, can we use hyper saline water, which is saline water more than seawater. This is just a little bit, this is just a glimpse, Rahman, dear listeners, of things that we do in Oman. Be it PDO or anyone else, we are representing Oman. Yeah.
Well, I think the lady who asked the question, she was right on, and her problem is spread all over the world. Yeah. Even in the USA, not most, but a lot of graduates who graduate with technology field or otherwise, or other than technology field, being chemistry or mathematics or others, they couldn't find job or they can't find jobs. There are reasons for these. Why? Now I'll tell you the story of Korea. specifically, obviously, South Korea here. The age of South Korea is the same age as Oman. We're talking here recent history, right, in the past 40 years or so. In Korea right now, I read an article where they're paying extra money for Korean who left the country so they can come back because they have to fill those technology jobs. So that means they have deficiencies in the number of people. Here or in some other places, you might find the other problem.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? There are many reasons. I don't know if we can get in all of them, but one of the reasons is maybe they need training programs. Start with internship first, and then progresses into actually offering a job to graduate like the lady here with the chemistry. Because if you tell me that there's no jobs in Oman for chemistry major, I just can't take it because the petro by itself is all chemistry.
Absolutely.
So someone or some entities have to find programs where they look for the graduate, as we do in the USA. They come to the university, they interview them there, and then they place them where they... And if they are not suited, they should put them in training programs. Yes. So maybe those things are, somehow need to be aligned.
I agree with you 100%, and that's one of the projects that Sultan Qaboos University is doing, at least in the biology department, because we noticed that there was an issue where the graduates don't have a job, and it's because the fields, the companies and the governments don't understand the role that these biologist graduates can play in their field. So now we're trying to do some sort of awareness campaign where we invite a representative from different ministries and companies to attend symposiums or open days with our students, and they have their CVs ready in their hand, and they show them what skills they have. And if they're missing something, then they could offer summer training. So I'm very happy to hear that is something that you also suggest and think is actually a viable solution.
Very viable. The other things people should know, the industry is always, since I came from the industry, now I'm in academia and industry together, but we're always ahead of the academia. That means academia always behind the curve when it comes to the facilitating the outflow of students with their different majors to actually go into the industry. One of the things that you could do is, or the academia could do, and schools and high school, from high schools to universities, is to always engage the industry so they can incorporate whatever programs that needed, or even training could be or applied. One of the other things that is missing, and that's why people actually don't choose STEMs, by the way, one of the reasons, is not just perceived to be difficult, but also in a lot of schools is taught abstractly. And that keeps them away from it.
Boring.
Boring, exactly.
Yeah, that's the word people use.
They feel it's boring.
It's boring. It's nothing.
Right. But come to my home, and you see me from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, I'm with technology, coding my software, inventing my robots. Yamasuta is basically a robot online that every day downloads all of the information from Google and Yahoo Finance, and specifically, that means I created something bigger than the two of them. It downloads all of that, takes hours, and it analyzes, and it gives that to the business people. It means that I took Yahoo and Google, I added intelligence, because they don't have intelligence, for example. So I found a gap here. People looking to make decisions. You cannot make decisions based on just data. Then you have to analyze the data.
Yeah.
So I wrote a robot that takes 33 countries, 57 financial exchanges, the biggest in the world, and it analyzes everything under the sun, basically. And it's a robot. And a spider and a robot. People who don't know, spider is like Google. The way they gather information are through spiders. They just run around gathering the information only.
It's very interesting what you said. You sit there in your house. You have the knowledge of software engineering, and you managed to create something out of nothing. Yeah?
Right.
You've seen a gap. You created something. This is a whole industry, isn't it?
It's infinite possibility.
It's infinite possibility. And if we look to a country like Oman, dear listeners, what I would like to say here is that don't look for always for a job. Look for an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah? With the knowledge that you have, you need to look for opportunities. And a country like Oman, who is 80% reliant on oil, what will happen if that oil runs out? We need resources. And the most valuable resources we have is us, human being.
Right. Yeah.
So if we educate ourselves in, let's say, we'll take just an example, software engineering. If we have dedicated companies to create software engineering, using amateurs, using specialized graduates, using experts, what do you need to create a software? You don't need high capital, do you? You just need your brains
and a computer.
And a computer, and you can create a whole industry based on that, that will just boost the economy within no time.
That's why most of the Eastern Bloc, Eastern countries that are supposedly to be poor countries, compared to the advanced world, they mostly get in software. India got in software as well. Now, what they have, even in the Silicon Valley, they have something, you can look it up online, it's called teensintech.com. And what they do, and I will go back to learning abstractly here versus learning the applied way. The Americans are known for their applied kind of teaching, and that's how I learned. I mean, my teacher in what we call mechanisms, if you know what mechanisms are, anything that moves is a mechanism, like in cars, and all of that. Mechanical components. So my professors in mechanisms and robotics, he was actually a Nissan and a Toyota and a, engineer, and he was actually designing all of the suspension mechanism, all of these for those. So when you learn with those people, hands-on, and when he gave us problems, or when he taught us, he actually gave us applied. When we learn, we should go actually and have fun, play around with things. Like I used to play with toys when I was a kid because my father was a toy maker.
Wow.
That's very interesting. Let's hold that thought in your mind. Okay. Hold it until we are finished with this call. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Lamia and Brother Wael, I'm Shaheen.
Welcome back to the show, Shaheen. How are you?
I'm fine. And believe me, it's a really very different topic to all your other topics so far that you have been having on your show all this month.
How are you enjoying it today?
It's too interesting. It's just fabulous.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Fine. First of all, I think the professor and Lamia, you yourself, you have raised very good two questions, and both of you have partly given your answers to it. The question is why is it significant, or why is it alarming that the gender bias that is there in terms of taking up a profession, if this gender bias is there, that there are some one gender taking up one profession as opposed to the other, why is it alarming, this ratio? Secondly, as the professor himself has given the answer on a more psychological aspect to the choice that males do not take up a certain course as opposed to the females, of course it is psychological, but as Dr. and Brother Wael has put it, that it should not just be only from the point of taking up a job that a student or an individual takes up a stream at school. But I think, Brother Wael, we need to come to terms with reality, because most people would definitely take up a stream or a course that would give them their bread and butter. But yes, we do need to change the mindset of the people, and education field would definitely come into play at such a time, whereby students are given that kind of a mindset right from their primary school, that yes, science as well as humanities is important, is because in a society where we live in now, we are all interdependent. If we are going to only have scientists and engineers in society, I don't think a society can work and function that way. We do need accountants, we do need managers, bankers, as also we need scientists and engineers. Only then can a society prosper.
Absolutely.
So it all comes down and stems down to the education at the primary level, where we are able to change the mindset of the educators and the people who are being educated.
Thank you very much.
Very valuable points, Shaheen. As usual, very nice contributions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Well, when in the movie Contact, the lady went up in space and she traveled through the wormholes and all of that. It's a Hollywood movie. But when she reached and she found the beauty of the universe, she said they should have sent a poet, not an engineer.
To describe it, absolutely. Yeah.
So everyone has his, the lady that called, everyone has his station. We need poets, we need artists, we need media people. We need to encourage media. I mean, media now, it's around the world. And who's going to support the media? We're the infrastructure, we're the engineers. So we're the facilitators, right? Engineers are the facilitator. One of the funny things, though, about the engineer mind that the listener should know, and I'm an engineer, but I'm more of a scientist, really, is the engineer thinks of the world only as a problem solution.
Yeah.
So I had one of the funny story. I had somebody in my home, and he was from the UN, and he was an engineer. So, and we know we have pollution right now around the earth. So I had him, another friend, and he said, well, fine, we can just create machines, put them around the earth in the oceans, and they take the water and they generate the oxygen. So he only thought of the solution was through another machine.
Yeah.
Yes, not through our behavior.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Let's continue on the topic of enjoyment.
Right.
But I think we have another call.
Assalamu alaikum. Nice interactive session. Yes.
This is Rahma again.
Hi, hello, Rahma.
I just want to clarify something regarding my second point.
Yes.
Dr. Wael, I did not mean to blame the government or for doing nothing regarding that.
Don't worry, he's not going to get you in trouble.
No.
Don't worry.
No, it's not like, I just want to make it clear. I think I meant that we are, as a chemistry or biology holder, because I have been working for water analysis for 2 years.
Mashallah.
I meant that why don't the government provide us with seminars, science seminars regarding that issue, so we are a concerned people can contribute in solving this problem. That's what I meant.
Absolutely. We totally agree with you, and we'll never be against you again. Sorry.
No. I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahma. Thank you. So, enjoyment. How can we make it enjoyable? You mentioned working with inspirational people who have been in the industry and did something themselves and bringing live examples. How can we do that here at schools before universities?
Right. I'm going to give you start my answer or shed light on this is by giving you a little bit of statistics according to the Microsoft research. Is they say that 34% of the STEM student actually develop their interest on their own. So that's an internal drive.
Yeah.
They played with toys, they've seen movies maybe that about technologies, whatever. The other things is parents. They say they contribute about 29%. So they say about 30%. And then they say teachers, that's at the young age, that's 26%. But here's the surprise. Once the kids become older, the teacher becomes the prime factor in their decision. And I go back to my other point. If you and me right now, I'm a teacher at the university, and I know from my student when they are going off to their phones to play on because that's it, we went on a topic that maybe they're not interested in, or they're totally with their eyes focused on me and that through stories and through the application of stories. And that's, by the way, how Harvard finally, and that's in our Quran, by the way, we tell you stories, the best of stories.
Yeah.
So even the Quran came to tell you the best way you, a human, can learn is through stories.
True.
So the first one is to read a story. But second is to write the story about someone else. But the third and the highest, and I advise everyone to be and I wrote a whole book about all of these called Kingdom Infinitum, the 7 Gates to Greatness. It's changing people's life right now.
What's it called? Sorry, Professor?
Kingdom Infinitum.
How do you spell that?
Infinitum from infinity.
Okay.
Okay. The 7 Gates to Greatness. And the first gate is actually, we tell you stories, the best of stories. And the highest the highest station you can reach is you become the story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So then we write about you like we write about Steve Jobs or others or some of the great scholars of the Muslims. You should ask how the Muslims flourished in Spain. That's in my story. The story, by the way, it's a novel. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, which students really don't like. Right? So how do you enjoy these? Go play around with technology. See if you like it. If you don't like it, fine. It's not your road. It's not your way, which is totally perfectly fine. You want to be a poet. You want to be a teacher of social, management, or you want to be a businessman. But guess what? Remember the kid and the neural network?
Yeah.
Remember the connection? Well, here's what it is. I'll give you the secret right now. Mathematics wired your brain differently. So if you want to be an excellent poet, an excellent media engineer, media person, or whatever you want to be, an artist, a writer, study mathematics and understand it, because the brain gets wired differently, and you will become more imaginative and more innovative. And that's for a fact, by the way.
So does that mean that people who are not good in maths can't be good poets or good artists?
Well, that means that means they have the logic there.
Okay.
You have to have the logic, actually, which is part of mathematics. Mathematics is a huge field, right?
Yeah.
You go from the very basic, the addition and the subtraction and multiplication, all the way to, finite equations, finite element equations, and Fourier and series and what we do. By the way, one of the things I want to tell the listeners is when I was hired at NASA, the first night, I think it was 1986, and Professor George Bourne picked up the phone and called, "Hey, Dana Thompson, I'm sending you Basil Dayani here." That was my first job, by the way. No application, nothing, just
Wow.
But somebody who was at NASA for 25 years. So I went there and they said, "Listen, we have the satellite orbiting the Earth and we have data, and we would like you to model the Earth geoid." The geoid is the equipotential surface of the gravity field. That means the gravity field, because it's different from place to place. Guess who modeled it first? It was me. And when I finished it after 3-4 months, and we were working on a supercomputer back in Washington, and I was in Tennessee, in Mississippi, in a NASA base. I remember I have to wait for my turn on a supercomputer, and I will wait 1 week to get the result. So if I made a mistake, I have to fix it, run it for another week. Guess what you could do right now? You can run it on your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Your mobile phone becomes a supercomputer now.
Yes. Yeah.
That's technology.
I think the processor now in a mobile phone.
Nobody has an excuse anymore not to try things or.
So this is one of the messages. Sorry, Lamia.
No, I just had a personal question because this is something that is. I always have these discussions with my husband that I don't even try technology because I have this phobia. Like if it's something too technical, I would just call my husband and say, "Can you do this?" And he'd ask me, "Did you try?" I'm like, "No, can you just do it for me, please?" Because I have this phobia. Is it got something to do with something that happened in my childhood, or is it something to do with my personality? I'm a high flyer in terms of grades in school and high 90s stuff, but when it comes to technology, I just back off like meters.
Actually, it's here's what they say in Germany. You see, everything I will answer in stories. So
perfect.
And that's what I want to tell people. Go live the story. Don't learn mathematics and physics and all of these the abstract way. And if your teacher is doing it that way, please tell the school, tell your teacher, bring me some apps. Take me to the field. Show me.
Yeah.
Show me. That's exactly. So in Germany, according to my German friend, he said that most students now don't go to computer science. And then and he was an intern at JUTEC who told me this. And I said, why? And he said, those who don't go to computer science, they say it's black magic. So it's their perception again.
Yes.
It's their, and then I said, what do you tell them? Why don't you correct? He said, no, I don't want to correct them. I said, why? He said, because I want them to think like black magic, so I'm the only magician and I can go make all the money that I want. That was very fascinating. So it's really perception.
Okay.
Nothing is difficult. What I learned in my life, I studied in what they call STEM, the engineering, right? And what I realized, I mean, look at my life and you will find, and I found people like that a lot in the state. I became a writer, an author of a book. So I didn't major in writing. I went and read 50 novels in order to learn how to write a novel. So you could also do the same. You say, all right, I really fear technology, so let me remove that fear.
Yeah.
I fear poetry. I fear the language construct. So you have to remove that fear by removing the perception of that actually fear, because fear is only a perception at the end. And the accomplishment, the joy that you get from actually going into technology or mathematics or physics or whatever, you will understand the world, how it ticks.
Yes.
One of my professors at NASA, he said, Basil, do you want to know how the world tick? I said, yes. Okay.
Do technology.
All right. He said, okay, let's find out, and let's go. And also we have to go from another gate, which is the gate of errors. What the problem is in STEMs, when people make mistake, they are in a shock. They can't continue.
That's it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
So what we need to tell them, one of the intrinsic attribute encoded in our genome is to make errors. And so when Edison tried, according to the statistic, 1,000 times and couldn't find a solution for a bulb, he said, I just found 1,000 ways how not to do it or how not to try it. I've been spending 3.5 years in Yamasuta. It's a brain, it's a robot. And go try to teach a robot how to think like a human being. It's, extremely difficult, right?
Yeah.
So you're always facing challenges. But if your brain, if your personality, if we raise our kids or our student not to love the challenge, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because if mathematics is a challenge and we raise them, so the problem is not in the mathematics, and it's not in the physics, and it's not in technology. The problem is in us and in how we're raising our kids and later.
That's really funny because my dad's a professor in mathematics, but I didn't get that gene from him.
Well, that's a very good point to stop for a break, and we'll continue right after the break, inshallah. So, dear listeners, we'll see you after the break. We'll just break for the call of prayers, inshallah. See you in a minute. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to The Art of Living. Today's topic is very, very, very interesting, and we've been enjoying our discussion with Professor Dayani here during the break. We can't have enough from this, and we haven't covered even, I think, 1% of what he has to offer. But unfortunately, this is all what we have. We are going to extend for 10 minutes today. So just for the sake of, Lamia here, who wants to listen more and more and discover more about herself with Dr. Dayani, Professor Dayani.
We're all discovering ourselves.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Prof, during the break you mentioned something that really struck me about the verse in the Quran. Can you please just share that with the audience, please, with the listeners?
Oh, all right. Well, the Arabic language by itself, which I call it the king of languages, but one of the German about 150 years ago, he called it the queen of languages. If you want to know technology, go to Arabic, because Arabic is really the purest form of technology. It's the most advanced technological tools you can find, and without language we cannot even communicate. Without names, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, and God taught Adam all the names, and I mean all meaning all the meanings. That means the human being understands everything. So you have no excuse of saying, I don't understand. You have to understand it. Maybe somebody did not explain it well, but we have the ability to understand everything. And the word name, which really ism in Arabic, it comes from, you always have to go to the root. And not even when we study mathematics and physics, don't study it immediately at high level.
Yeah.
Go to the basic building block, Lego. You know, like now, before I explain the word ism, since I'm non-linear, guys, so you have to go with me on journeys left and right. So right now, and that's actually, God is telling us to be in stems. He said, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقِ بدأ. So go walk along the earth. It says fi, which is very fascinating, which is in, but go walk along the earth and find out how the creation was started. He didn't tell us how it is now, how it was started with some much more difficult questions. Absolutely. Who's doing that? The super glider under Geneva in Switzerland. It took them 30 years to build it, 30 kilometers long. They, put the atoms, they showed it in some of the movies, and they smash the electron together, and then they want to find out what's smaller and smaller. And every time they smash them, and they smash smaller particle, they find even smaller ones. My friend told me at the end they will find nothing, and from nothing came something. It's very fascinating. But what it is, if I show you a huge Lego machines, and we know we can build some sophisticated ones, with motors now. If you see the building block, you'll say, oh, I know how to build that, because you see the building block. So what they're trying to find out is the building block of the universe. If they find out that, they find the magic behind it. So don't be afraid of technology. Don't be, don't have it as a misconceptions and stereotype. You have stereotype misconception all the way. Just look at the most basic building blocks, and I tell you what those are. It's also in the Quran. 0, 1.
The binary
code.
Yeah, mu'min, 1. 0 is the one who doesn't believe in something, right?
Yeah.
Which is kafir, comes from kafara, which is to cover. Actually.
To cover.
Yeah, to cover the truth. And it could be in anything, you could be not believing in a company or not believing. So 0, 1. But there's a third type, but I gave that to some of the CEOs here in Oman. I said there's a third type, but he's one of the two. He's the hypocrite. He's a 0 pretending to be 1. But again, the whole thing is based on 0, 1. If you look at mathematics, it's all based on that.
Yeah. Going back to the verse that you mentioned earlier, called Siru fil ardi, and you commented on, very interesting, it's fi when you are walking on top. Why didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say Siru ala?
Right, exactly.
Because
so there's some secret.
There is a secret, and the secret is what God is telling us, what Allah is telling us, is to go and contemplate.
Right.
The context of the whole verse is contemplating.
Right.
So if you just walk on the surface, what are you contemplating on? But if you go deeper in, go in, explore in.
Right.
Yeah. If you see a tree, think deeper about it. Yeah. Go deeper in it. If you see the stars, everything, go deeper in it. That's why siru fil ardi.
Right. And that's actually, God is telling us, be researcher and scientist.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's what you just said. It's the tadabbaru. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. And tadabbara comes from dubur. Dubur means to see behind. So behind, khalf, behind, that means go research. It's not, don't look at the appearance of things. So he's saying, go research. Don't look at the appearance.
Be curious and
go
ask
deeper.
questions. Yeah.
Go deeper. So we go back to the ism, sama yasmu, which means to ascend. So when you call something by a name, that means it came to existence. If you don't know what it is, somebody does, then he will tell you, oh, this is a tree, or this is that. And then you will know what it is. Without these, we can't even communicate. Every time I say a horse, I'm going to tell you, oh, you remember that animal with 4 legs and 1 tail? And we will have a tough issue every second. I have to explain myself.
Yeah.
So we will stop communicating. Now, going back to the enjoyment of all of these, the thrills, there's the thrill in, I found it. I found a solution for these. It could be a solution for the society. It could be a solution for education. It could be a solution. We're not here. This is critical thinking, which now, and I see it in the university and in school. When I came from Silicon Valley directly to Dubai, I came first before Oman, American University there. the student told me that your class was equivalent to 3 years in university. I said, that cannot be. Why? Because it was taught applied.
Yeah.
I showed them the way. I showed them how to build something.
Can I attend your classes?
So
Serious
You'll have
question.
to pay Geotech.
no, well, I give lecture all around. I just 2 days ago I was giving a lecture. أفلا يتدبرون القرآن. Yeah, and
That's very great.
They invited me for 1 hour, but I exited after 4, I think, or 5. So, but
So you gave them good time.
inshallah.
Inshallah,
So
inshallah.
what we want is the thrills, and you show it to your kid. Show the thrills of how to actually find beauty. And why did I call the story Kingdom Infinitum? Because infinity is the ultimate beauty, which is Allah. He's
Yeah.
the infinite in His wisdom and His beauty and His power. So if you really want to understand technology and the world and everything, understand infinity. But
Yeah.
it is impossible to understand, but you
It's
can
complex,
imagine,
yeah.
right? So a lot of mathematicians go nuts trying to find what is infinity,
Yeah.
But at infinite, all problems are solved, because if I give you all the time in the world and all the material, infinite capacity, infinite power, so all the problems are what?
Yeah.
Solved.
Solved.
That's why
Correct.
Allah is capable of everything.
Of everything. He has
So-
always been there. He'll always be there.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Beautiful
So
talk.
we go back to the critical thinking. If you study STEM, and when I say STEM, you don't necessarily to study all the hardcore things. We're talking here the basics one. The basics of the logic, the basics of mathematics, the basics. You will be a better businessman. You will see the beauty of your profession into these. And if we go even to statistics, I mean, yeah, they say, well, if you're in STEM, you make 30% more. There, by the way, 300% increase in STEM jobs over the 10 years by the IBM research
Wow.
that they reported. So there are 3 times the jobs, or we're producing 300% more STEM jobs than other than non-STEM jobs. Let me put it that way.
It basically tells you this is what the world actually needs. The economy. This is what the economy needs. This is what we need to progress. Yeah.
And progress and economy. I mean, if you look at the Silicon Valley where I was working, and I found most of my profession there. California, a lot of people are gonna be really surprised by this. California, we have 50 states. California produces almost 25% of the GDP. We have Silicon Valley, from the Apple to Google and down. We have Hollywood industry, they call it.
Yeah.
Industry,
Yeah.
right? And we have agriculture also, the fruit basket of the nation. So imagine one state, they said if it's separated from the state, is the richest country on earth.
Yeah. True.
It means that why did they go? They went to the basic things. The Adam, the man who knows how to make machines or tools.
Technology.
Technology.
Beautiful, Professor, beautiful. Thank you very much. We really come to the end of the show. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. We merely covered 1%, and I think we need more shows like this, and I think we have your contacts, and we'll bother you a lot.
Just bring the studio to my home.
Inshallah, why not? If we want to summarize, well, quite a lot of things that we've learned, but to inspire people to go into technology, we have talked about the beauty of it. So think of it as a beautiful thing. Think of it as something that will help you contribute to the world. Something that will help you write your own story so people could read about it in the future.
And you become the story.
And you become the story.
And Steve Jobs said that if I don't make the world, somebody else will make it for me. So he wants to have the beauty that he sees.
And in the Quran we say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Let's compete in this world to make it a better place. This is what we are created for.
Place.
A beautiful place. So a beautiful show, beautiful listeners, and a beautiful guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From me, Wa'il Al-Harrasi.
And Lamia Al-Hajj.
See you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.